Hey, Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review, and this time we are looking at the Okeya Ginsan Bunka 165mm knife. So this line of knives uses a layered construction, and the harder core steel is what's known as Ginsan or G3 or Silver 3 stainless steel. It's a full stainless steel that has fine grain, and it's pretty easy to sharpen, and it's got decent edge retention. It's a very, very nice, one of the nicer conventional stainless steels, in my opinion. It's an excellent knife steel. The heat treat's about 61 Rockwell on that core steel. The construction is 3 layers, so there's a softer stainless steel cladding on either side of that core steel. You can kind of see that cladding line in the picture there. It's got a cool texture on it, which we'll get a close-up look at that in a minute. These knives are pretty light. The weights and dimensions and such will vary a little bit from knife to knife since they're hand-hammered, but this particular one's about 116 grams or 4.1 ounces. The edge length from the tip to the chin, the back of the heel, just about 165, about 6.5 inches roughly, and the overall length of this knife is about 12 inches right on the nose. These are not super thick at the spine, are pretty good performers. So this one's about 2 millimeters coming out of the handle above the chin, and then it pretty much I measured it halfway. It's about 2 millimeters as well. And with this style of blade, they often just hold that thickness on the spine, even where the turn happens at the reverse sword tip. And then you can see it thins up nicely towards the very tip with the grind of the blade. So the very tip of this knife is really thin, and it works really nice through soft product, like onions, for example. Blade height on this is about 45.5 millimeters at the heel. And the handle is just a good quality, basic octagonal, ambidextrous walnut handle with a black packawood ferrule, stabilized wood. And the fit and finish is good. It does have a small bump between the ferrule and the wood, but nothing objectionable. And the circumference is pretty standard size for this style of knife. It's about 75 millimeters or 3 inches at the ferrule handle junction here. You can see the neck on this is a little bit on the wide side, and it pretty much matches almost the width of the handle. So what that does is give you a nice spot to put your finger in for a pinch grip. And so it's a real comfortable pinch grip. You got a slight curve to the choil here as it goes into the neck. So very, very comfortable on the pinch. While we're out here, the balance point, the handle's not quite as light as like a hoe wood handle, but even so, with the light blade, you get a balance point just a little behind a pinch, so it's a nice balance point. Ever a touch handle heavy, but it's a light blade, so I think they did a good job on this, considering. Let's take a close-up look at it. Speaking of the handle, they've done a real good, really well done seal job. They've got some kind of rubberized coating on the face of the handle where it meets the tang, so very well sealed up. Here is the texture of the blade. And you can see they've got a neat kind of hammered mottled pattern on it. Not a lot of texture, but visually it's very interesting. It's still fairly smooth when you move your fingers over it. You've got hand chisel kanji, nice touch. And the back side of the blade has some embossed kanji with a silver 3 moniker on it. You can see the number 3 there. There's your cladding line, easy to see. So this line of knives, sometimes the grinds can have slight variations in it. This one has a couple of small, very minor overgrind towards the edge. Nothing that really wouldn't kind of work out normally when you sharpen it, so nothing big, but it's not like going to be as clean as, you know, like a Konosuke or something like that. But this is a really good performing knife. They've done a nice job with the edge out of the box. I'd say not too great, about a 3 out of a 10, but I sharpen it up, and this steel sharpens great, and it'll get really, really sharp. If you wanted to, you could sand down the corners of the spine a little and the choil. For some people, they might not notice it. If you're sensitive to that, you could kind of touch that up a little bit if you wanted to. So this is a really good performing knife, and it's stiff because you've got a fair amount of thickness here to the spine. So it's a nice stiff blade. It has a great profile, which we'll take a look at. I was comparing this directly to a couple other Bunka knives, including the Kohetsu SLD, and it's pretty comparable to that. It doesn't have quite as good a food release as the SLD, but it wedges a little bit less as well. So it's a good balanced performer. So let's take a look at the cutting board profile for this guy. So here we go. It's a fairly short blade, 6.5 inches, so you're not going to get a lot of flat spot, but you've got a little bit of a flat spot towards the heel, a slight back belly so it doesn't slam into the board. It's a nice smooth transition. Somewhat aggressive tip belly, so I can get fairly high without digging the tip in. So this should rock nicely as well. Push-pull cuts, not a pure chopper, but within the realm of what this type of knife does, it should do pretty well for you for a variety of techniques. So just a nice performing, nice looking knife at a great price, and these are just pretty cool. So this is the Okeya Ginsan Bunka 165mm knife.